Alrighty, we have a little problem here. We have some outlets that are on 14 American wire gauge wire, and there's number 12 coming out of the breaker box. So what we have to do is put a 15 amp breaker on that wire, because you have to put the smallest gauge wire that's on that circuit on the breaker that's rated for the smallest wire that's on the circuit. So since there's number 12 in the breaker box, it would appear that it's okay for a 20 amp circuit. It's not, because there's 14 gauge wire downstream, so we have to protect it appropriately. So here in the country I was born in, we use a 14 American wire gauge on 15 amps, 12 American wire gauge on 20 amps. The black is live, the white is neutral, the red or the blue is also a live color. Now we may find white live in a switch loop or on a 220, 240 volt circuit where the appliance does not require a neutral. And I'll show you how to swap out the breakers so we have proper protection for the wiring that is downstream on the circuit. And I'll show you the difference in wire sizes with my wire strippers at the end. Okay, so we plugged in extension cords to the outlets that have 14 gauge wire on them. So we have this one, and this one. So first we'll take our cover off the box. So we have to do these two here. So we'll just loosen our screw here, pull the breaker out like that, and we have our hot wire there. And if you look at the circuit breaker, you'll see a 15 on the toggle here, and a 20 will either be on the toggle here, but on this one it says 20 amps right here. And that's 14 gauge wire, so we have to put a 15 amp circuit breaker on this. So we will loosen this terminal up here. Okay, I got our end nice and straight there. We'll slide it in under our terminal here. And we'll tighten up the terminal. And we'll just stick it back in like this. Get it hooked under that hook there and push it in. Now we have this one here. This one has number 12 wire on it, but there is a 14 gauge wire on it downstream. So we will open up our screw. Take our wire out. We'll put our 15 amp breaker in here. We'll open up our screw here. Put our wire into under the pressure plate. Make it tight. And we can put it back in like this. And we have this one here. We'll loosen up our terminal. We'll take our 15 amp circuit breaker. Now this is number 14, and it should be on a 15 amp breaker here anyway. The other one had number 12 in it, but there was 14 gauge wire downstream, so we had to put a 15 on it. So we put our wire in the hole like this. Now that's a little bit long there, so I'm going to clip that a little bit shorter. So I'm going to run up and grab my wire strippers. Well, I guess I don't have my wire strippers, so I will just praise Jehovah and be thankful for what I do have and not complain about what I don't have. So that wire is a little long, but it's the longest. It's still behind this plastic here. So I'm going to praise Jehovah and be thankful for what I did remember. And I'll just put this 15 amp breaker in. The copper is a little bit long, but still within the safety specs because it's behind this plastic here. If it was longer than that, I would have ran over to the store and bought a pair of strippers. But okay, so now we can turn our main back on, turn our circuits back on, and now we are up to code. Now when we put our cover screws on, you want to make sure the screws don't hit the wires. Alrighty, so since I don't have my wire strippers, I praise Jehovah for what I remembered and what I do have, and I cannot show you, and I will explain it rather than show you. 14 gauge is rated for 15 amps, and it's a lighter gauge wire than 12. 12 is a heavier gauge wire, and it is rated for 20 amps. And 10 gauge wire is even heavier yet, and that's rated for 30 amps. So the smaller the wire, the smaller the number, the heavier the wire. Peace. Thanks for watching.